Hello and welcome to another edition of Laurel Park Weekly. It's Wednesday, September 13th. I'm Stan Salter, along with the voice of Maryland Racing, Dave Rodman, Ty Ellis here, as well as we're going to recap a big opening weekend we had last weekend here at Laurel Park, and we're going to tell you about a big weekend we have coming up here this weekend, as this Saturday is the Fall Festival of Racing featuring the Grade 3 Frank J. DeFrancis Memorial Dash presented by ExpressBet.com. We also have 6 other stakes on the turf. It's going to be a huge Saturday out here this weekend. We had a nice opening weekend. Handle was up all 3 days last weekend.
As well it should, because the entry box is filling, and Friday's races here at Laurel Park, wow, full fields, big fields on the turf, and that's what the fans want. So the fans are flocking to Maryland Racing, and it's only going to get better as the fall rolls along with that big weekend of racing coming up. Later on this month, the Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup, plenty of stakes action in a couple more weeks, Racing 101 day at the races. A lot of things coming up here for the casual fan and for the guy who comes out each and every day, well, like us.
Exactly. Yeah, you got 11 this coming Friday and probably another 11, 12 on Saturday. So it will be a fantastic weekend of racing.
Lunch on me today because I had a big opening weekend. I hit 3 of the first 6 pick 5s we had here at Laurel Park. I hit both pick 5s on Friday, early in the late, and then on Sunday I hit the early pick 5, and that bet is going to be my new favorite bet with that low 12% takeout, mandatory payout on the early pick 5, and you can get some nice payouts, and I got some nice payouts open the weekend. So lunch on me. How are your picks open the weekend, Ty?
I'll have to take you up on the lunch on you part of that, but that 12% pick 5 stand really is one of the best bets in the country that we have here.
I can order the lobster roll today.
Well, yeah, Panera, lobster roll. If they still have it, it's still in season, right?
I don't know.
Hopefully.
I think we're going to upgrade today, Stan, since you said you're buying.
Maybe Pasta Plus. Anything's possible when you're on a roll. Let's take a look here at opening weekend last weekend. It's the Journey, the Maryland bred in top form for trainer Michael Trombetta. He's won 4 in a row. This is his win in the Shaladon. This was a tough field. of Fleet Willie was in here rocking on by, but how about the 4-year-old Maryland bred by Mineshaft, bred known by R. Larry Johnson. It's the Journey, his 4th win in a row for trainer Michael Trombetta. Alex Cintron, a nice winning ride here.
4 for 12 now at Laurel Park. Actually now 5 for 13 here at Laurel Park now after this win. It's the Journey, continues on the uphill climb, on the ascent. Anytime you can run side by side with a Fleet Willie on the turn and Jock looks over at a Fleet Willie like, who are you? And he just drew off with complete authority there. A Fleet Willie certainly a better horse than we saw there in that performance coming off a win. He's sure to rebound, but anytime you can not only beat a Fleet Willie, but drub him like that, you know he's got a serious sprinter on his hand. The Trombetta barn having a big weekend too here at Laurel Park.
Yeah, and It's the Journey earned a career best 96 buyer figure in there. That's a big number. That was a tough field like we mentioned about. I like the Red Dragon Tattoo horse. Didn't really run that well, but did good pace pressure, speed duel, and really drew off. Impressive. Sky's the limits, really, for the 4-year-old.
Yeah, sure. And a big weekend for Trombetta, like you said. Big opening weekend for Alex Cintron. He's one of your leading riders after the opening weekend. How about rocking on by? The 6-year-old's made a bunch of money, over $400,000. He likes to be second against Stakes Company. Picks up another check here in the Shaladon.
Right, and Larry Johnson in the winner's circle. Congratulations to him, owner, breeder of It's the Journey. He was out in full force with a bunch of people here this weekend at Laurel Park. He spent a lot of money into the game, believes in his homebreds, and it's paying off.
Yep, it's a nice one there. Let's take a look here at the Shine Again line of Best Fit. Just got beat a whisker at the Big T. Wheels right back for trainer Kieran McGee and gets the money here in the Shine Again. Nice ride by J.D. Acosta. Line of Best Fit went off 7-2. You got all the early money was on her. She was even money early. Goes off 7-2. Pays $9.40. Here she comes splitting horses in the stretch.
5 days rest, too. If you remember this horse, she got beat in a desperate photo finish at Timonium just 5 days earlier to My Magician. Beaten favorite surged late to make it extremely close. But this time, no photo. Well, it was a photo, but it wasn't. That nose margin got up to win by a head and neck there at the end. Line of Best Fit for Sheffield's stable and Rick Proctor.
Saved a lot of ground on the backstretch that we just saw there. Came roaring up from the rail. Really made a big late charge. This was a horse that finished third third to Songbird a couple races back in the Delaware handicap. So there's some good talent in there, and we'll see where it goes from here. But good win, just getting up by the head.
Yeah, I mean that's she's a grade 1 stakes place mare now, so very valuable there. Line of best fit from Kieran McGee Sheffield.
Now over 200,000 earnings this year, over 600,000 for her career. So a couple nice features last weekend here. We had a couple other horses to keep an eye on. A nice first-time starter for Sagamore Farm and trainer Horacio DePaz. DePaz and Sagamore, they've been red hot all year long, especially with the first-time starters, and this is a good-looking one here. Go with the Terrain, a Maryland bred by Scat Daddy. That's a Major League Turf sire out of a Not for Love mare, Road to Honor. This guy's a half-brother to Going to Market, who made over 250,000. It's also a half to Southampton Way, a 2-year-old that was second in the grade 2 up there at Saratoga. So go with the Train from a nice family. A good-looking win here with Kevin Gomez aboard.
Encouragement there in mid-stretch, and then kicked into another gear to win Going Away. Sagamore Farm, homebred. Like you said, Stan, what a year for Sagamore. Not only here in Maryland, but a super meet at Saratoga as well, putting their stamp for not only the Mid-Atlantic, but nationally.
Ran the race, Stan. That was a 5.5. Ran 104 and 4, earned an 86 Beyer to debut, and we all know the turf course was a little on the yielding to good side. So that's a good time for the way the turf course was playing, and really won with ease, especially when they showed the stick to her. She really responded well.
DePaz almost 30% with his first-time starters this year. This was a well-bred one, and you get $8.60 for the win price.
That was unusual to me. You know, usually when those Sagamore runners can run and they're going to show some talent in the debut, they get a bet off the board. You see a little early money, but that one kind of escaped the bettors there in the turf run there this past weekend.
Maryland Million coming up in October. Mark your calendar for Maryland's Day at the Races. The Jim McKay Maryland Million, that's going to be Saturday, October 21st, and we saw a good-looking filly win last Friday. We might see in the Maryland Million Juvenile Fillies race. Let's take a look here at Limited View, a Maryland bred by Barbara Smith, by Freedom Child. That's a young sire up there at Country Life Farm. This filly's out of a Not for Love mare. John Salzman Jr. won with her in debut at Laurel. They tried grade 2 at Saratoga. They have her back in winning form here. Good-looking win, Limited View with Edgar Prado aboard.
You know, as sort of price as she was, a lot of people were saying, well, maybe she should have won much easier, but really it was just a hand ride for Limited View. And she's got a few quirks about her. No, she's been very kind of a nervous kind of a filly, and she was a bit nervous in the post parade, but a great job by John Salzman Jr. Barnes settling her down there and getting her perhaps to mature just a little bit. That was the first winner for that Country Life Farm stallion, Freedom Child, way back in June.
Visually, that was an impressive win, Dave. You got a horse was coming up on the 8th pole. Looked almost like he was going to go by, but then the horse really responded well. The figure came back a little low, 55 Beyer speed figure, but 2-year-olds always have time to improve. It was visually impressive, but that figure came back a little low, which is a little concerning.
Well, I mean, she was handridden, so we don't know. You know, maybe next time out they extend her a little bit, she can run faster.
And talking to John Salzman Jr. in the winner's circle afterwards, and you know, if all things go well, they are pointing to the Maryland Million Juvenile Filly race afterwards. And he said she's better than what we saw last Friday. He had to train her because keep in mind she was scratching the paddock in one of those races up at Saratoga.
Right.
Then they regrouped her. They got her to the grade 2 Adirondack. She showed a lot of early speed in there, then packed it in. They had to train her to so much, not so much, but they had to take the edge off her. They had to, I think they galloped her last Friday morning, the morning of the race, and maybe they trained her a little bit more to take the edge off her so they could get her over here. That's kind of what John Salzman Jr. was saying. Now that they have her kind of figured out mentally, they can have her a little bit more sharp for the Maryland Million Juvenile Filly race. So I think now that they have her figured out here in the paddock, we could see a big effort from Limited View, a lot better effort in the Maryland Million.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was, again, still a little bit nervous in the post parade, but nothing too concerning, and so she is finally settling down into a more mature mind.
Freedom Child, the sire, had 2 winners here at Laurel Park last Friday, so he's the leading freshman sire here in the area. So that's the races from Laurel Park last weekend. Let's get a quick break as we'll talk about some other big races from all over the country. And stick around here. Our local preview, we're going to preview Fall Festival of Racing this Saturday. 7 stake races featuring the Frank J. DeFrancis Memorial Dash. More about that right after this. Welcome back, Laurel Park Weekly. I'm Stan Salter, Dave Rodman, Ty Ellis. It's September 13th here, a new edition as we recap last week and get you ready for a big weekend of racing here this weekend at Laurel Park. But real quick, with some big national races last weekend, Miss Temple City, she was at it again for trainer Graham Motion down there in Kentucky Downs. A nice win in the Kentucky Downs ladies turf last weekend at Kentucky Downs. This was one of the top turf runners here in the Graham Motion barn.
A few moments ago, we saw Edgar Prado, Hall of Famer, on limited view, and then makes the trip to Kentucky from Miss Temple City to win by a neck. 80 cent to $1 favorite. She was nervous pre-race at Royal Ascot, and Graham Motion says he was nervous before she runs, always gets nervous before she runs. She does work a little bit to get it done there, but prevailed over Zapessa, who was the pacemaker and pretty much the only speed in the race. So she had to call on all of her class there as Miss Temple City. Next, perhaps, we'll see her in the first Lady Stakes at Keeneland, they say.
All right.
Yeah, it was a good win. Miss Temple City, she should have won there. She's grade winning horse going against grade 3 company, but Kentucky Downs can be kind of a quirky kind of track, being that long stretch run. But it was an impressive win visually, just sitting off a pace, a quick pace. But it was. I feel like if Edgar Prado needed more out of her, he could have got it.
Yeah, she should have beaten this field, right? I mean, it was a much easier field than she's faced in the past. So we'll see what's next for her. First Lady Stakes, perhaps against her own sex. There was maybe even some talk of maybe running her against the boys in the Shadwell Mile, but I would make a bet that she goes back against her own kind.
All right, Graham Motion doing a nice job managing Miss Temple City. Gets her back to the winner's circle down there at Kentucky Downs. Also, let's show you Oscar nominated in the Calumet Farm Kentucky Turf Cup at Kentucky Downs this past weekend. Oscar nominated. I like the name.
A mile and a half. Up the dips and around the bend and up the hills and around they go at Kentucky Downs with that undulating turf course. And Oscar nominated gets the job done over Postulation, who was probably on maybe not the best part of the course, the inside to me at Kentucky Downs all weekend, perhaps not playing as the best part of the track. There wasn't a lot between them at the end. Prevails by a head with Julian Leperoux. Mike Maker had several runners in the race and gets it done with Oscar nominated. And Mukhtasar, who had a good summer at Saratoga, solid third.
I've never been down to Kentucky Downs. I like the turf course down there. Ty, you ever been down there?
Haven't. They give away a ton of money, though.
They do. Big purses down there, and Oscar nominated. What's a couple-week meet, or are they over down there?
I got one more day Thursday tomorrow as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Oscar nominated, nice win down there at Kentucky Downs. It was a big weekend for Sagamore Farm. They got the money out there in Chicago with Barry Lee in the Arlington, Washington Futurity. This horse, an impressive winner here at Laurel Park, and Barry Lee, another nice 2-year-old for Sagamore Farm. Let's show you this race here from Arlington.
A familiar name from Maryland, and for Sagamore going up to ride Barry Lee, Horatio Caramanos in the Arlington, Washington Futurity. This is the third First Crop Stakes winner for Violence. He's having a really good year. Anytime you see a young 2-year-old who's sired by Violence, you might want to take an extra look at them. He's starting off with a bang. Barry Lee's half-sister, by the way. Let's pool our money since you're winning so much in that pick 5. Half-sister by Sky Mesa sells at Keeneland this week, so maybe we can get a nice broodmare prospect, racing prospect there.
Probably go for 6 figures. We might need some other investors.
You need a little more than that pick 5?
Yeah.
Okay,
maybe
I'll settle for the lobster roll, Stan.
All right, we'll stick with that.
It's good to see Sagamore really. They put so much money breeding, but they also bought this Violence for 300,000. So they put a lot of money into the game, and it's good to see those pay off. And that was a good win. Barry Lee won here, broke the maiden here at Laurel. I think they might be pointing towards Breeders' Cup. Might be a little bit too long, but that's what I'm hoping for Barry Lee.
He's certainly versatile, you know, winning on the synthetic at Arlington, winning on the dirt, and relaxed a little bit off the pace, was in a little tight and didn't want to be down inside, took him to the outside, gets the job done there after a fail run at Saratoga, but I thought a pretty good effort where he chased hot pace.
Yeah, the pace in that Saratoga race
Wow.
was, you have to toss that. It was a suicidal pace.
All right, so good to see Barry Lee back in the winner's circle. Here's a horse to watch for you, Trumper, out there at La Salle, an impressive maiden winner.
This is not a political statement. This is a maiden win for Trumper. And look at the style he does it in. A maiden that caught the eye, who perhaps is going to be a stakes winner. He's trained by Art Sherman, California Chrome fame.
Chestnut horse too, right?
Yeah, look at him. Really nice stride on him, and he does it with so much ease out there. So he's going to be a horse to look forward to. Thought we'd show you a horse maybe on the upswing from the week with an interesting name out there in California. And, you know, he's got that pedigree to get the distance as well. He's by Shackelford. Out of Holy Bull Mare.
I think Shackelford is going to be one heck of a sire. He's siring some winners already. Of course, the Preakness winner, I think, will have a good career at stud. So Trumper, keep an eye on Trumper. All you horses to watch, people. Let's get a quick. You gotta have at least 5 or 6 horses to watch in the pipeline. You know, to have some big scores on the horizon. Right?
It's getting to be that time of year, right? Towards Breeders' Cup Juvenile, already thinking about Derby next year.
Yep. All right. Let's take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we have seven stakes to talk about. 6 on the turf. The feature, the DeFrancis Dash on the main track. We'll talk about our big fall festival racing day here at Laurel Park right after this. Welcome back, Laurel Park Weekly. It's Wednesday, September 13th. We've talked about last week, and now let's talk about all the big racing coming up this week. And this Saturday, the Fall Festival of Racing, featuring the 26th running of the Grade 3 Frank J. DeFrancis Memorial Dash, presented by Express Bet. That's one of 7 stakes we have this Saturday. 6 of them are on the turf. It's going to be a huge Saturday, or I think the first of 6 Super Saturdays with a bunch of stake races this fall.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And I mean, looking at the nominations for this weekend, it's like a nice day to play that pick 5, the early and the late, especially the late with all the stakes action in it.
We have 11 race card on Friday, so we'll, I'm assuming at least 11 probably Saturday. The beautiful thing about the 11 race card, you can hit that early pick 5 and then have plenty of time to parlay it into the late pick 5, or even that rainbow pick 6 that's getting a little carryover building up for you.
How about somebody in the dash for us? Do you have a single? I don't know yet.
Well, let's show you a horse that's going to be in there. Whitmore. We know Whitmore's going to be in the DeFrancis Dash. Let's show you Whitmore's win here. This was in the Maryland Sprint at Pimlico this past spring, May 20th at Pimlico, the Grade 3 Maryland Sprint. Whitmore comes with a rally on the outside to get up here for Ron Moquette. So Whitmore going to be one of the horses to beat here in the DeFrancis Dash this year. Yeah,
he had won several in a row and then beaten favorite in his most recent start at Belmont. So the question is, can he rebound, come back to his best races after that failed effort last time as a beaten favorite? That's the big question about Whitmore.
Yeah, ran into a bit of a trouble in the True North last out, but we got, a lot of really good nominations. Mind Your Biscuits, who was nominated in here. XY Jet, a Jorge Navarro horse that's nominated. So
I don't know who else is in here right now. They were still working on this race pretty good when I checked in the racing office. I have some horses that are in the other stakes, but they were still wheeling and dealing with the De Francis Dash, trying to get a big field in that race. But yeah, some nice horses nominated. George Navarro with a couple nice horses nominated. Kenny Decker with a nice local horse. Awesome Banner, who was just second in the Grade 1 Vanderbilt last out. So that's a good local horse. Hopefully that horse will be in there. Mind Your Biscuits, of course, is nominated. So I think we'll have a nice rendition. Used to be a Grade 1. Hopefully it'll get back up to a Grade 1 here in a couple years, the Frank De Francis Memorial Dash.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of time for sure. We moved it around a bit on the schedule.
Yep.
And, we get a horse like Whitmore in there, it's going to certainly help a cause.
Yeah, and then, of course, the winner of the De Francis this year, since it being in September, gives them plenty of time, maybe another race in October, and then onto the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So hopefully that's the game plan for our Grade 3 Frank J. De Francis Memorial Dash winner this year. Let's talk about the Laurel Fraternity. What a famous race this is. Secretariat's won this race. Barbaros won this race. A bunch of other greats have won this race. We're going to talk about Cheese On. Let me tell you who's in here right now. Well, here's Cheese On. This is Cheese On winning here at Laurel Park in debut for trainer Cal Lynch. This is back in June. This horse comes from off the pace at 12-1 against a tough maiden special weight field. It's a 2-year-old by Scipion out of a Sea of Secrets mare. After this, nice allowance win at Delaware. Tried Stakes Company at Delaware last out fourth. But a two-time winner here in the Laurel Fraternity, Cheese On.
Well, I was very impressed by his maiden score, and then he goes up to Delaware to do it again. And then he ran into that buzzsaw, Kodiak Cowboy. Nobody was going to beat him that day. And he did improve his position, and he can rate. He can sit just off of it. He's got enough tactical speed so he doesn't get that far back.
So here's who I have circled in the Laurel Fraternity right now. Cheese On, Dial 1, Go Willie Go, Majestic Dunhill, Naughty Boy, that's a nice Aaron McClellan runner that won first out here. Shane's Jewel and Stroll Smokin'. So at least 7 right now in the Laurel Fraternity.
Dial 1, the Todd Pletcher horse, is going to be really tough. I'm glad he's bringing him up here. Third, good maiden breaking win on the turf at Gulfstream, but then went into some stakes companies the last couple. Finished third in those times. Found a little bit of trouble in the last race. Going to be tough. Dial 1. Dialed in Colt here coming down for Todd Pletcher. Robert LaPenta is the owner.
A lot of horses making their turf debut here in the Laurel Fraternity. They've won already. They've broken their maiden, maybe even an allowance win, but they're making their turf debut like Go Willie Go is for trainer Linda Albert. Nice maiden special weight winner going a half mile at Timonium. So this horse is quick by Jimmy Creed, making his turf debut here in the historic running of the Laurel Fraternity.
Yeah, again, there's another young sire that's producing a lot of winners, Jimmy Creed. It's really going to depend on which one of these runners, these 2-year-olds, is going to like the turf. An interesting move. Did you mention Stroll Smokin' there?
Stroll Smokin' is in, yep.
That's another horse that faced some good win last time out in the Strike Your Colors there at Delaware. It was just ahead, actually, wasn't he? Of Cheese On last time out. But I love the way that he broke his maiden here at Laurel for the $40,000 tag from the Wayne Potts barn.
And Naughty Boy was an impressive debut winner on the turf here at Laurel. Then tried the Grade 3 Sanford on the dirt, no good. Tried going long in the With Anticipation last out at Saratoga. Showed some speed there and packed it in. I think Naughty Boy cutting back to 6 furlongs is going to be dangerous here.
Yeah, it was interesting. Why did they ran this horse in the Sanford on the dirt, Ty? And when he broke his maiden on the turf, I guess they just took a shot, right? He was 20-1 there. But he comes back with a good race in the Winter Anticipation, all things considered, considering the distance and the quality of the company.
Yeah, they probably tried the dirt the first time. You got a lot of the 2-year-old races. They kind of focus on the dirt races, especially up in New York that time of year. So that's probably they just tried to give it a shot. Back on the turf, this is where this horse wants to be.
All right, so it'll be a nice running of the Laurel Fraternity going 6 furlongs on the turf. Let's talk about the Shalima next. Here's who we have in there right now. Art Attack, 86 Mets. That was a good team. Madam X, Mel's Going Wild, Proportionality, and Wise Gal. Let's show you, I believe, Proportionality from the Sagamore Farm and Horacio de Paz. This was, so Proportionality is going to be tough here in the Salima. Let me just find here we go. This was the debut win on the dirt, maiden special weight back in early July here at Laurel Park. They tried the Grade 2 Adirondack after this. That didn't go too well. Now this daughter of Discreet Cat out of a Touch Gold mare. She's making her turf debut here in the Salima for Horacio De Paz.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe this maiden win as impressive, but it was certainly professional. You know, it was professional indeed. And then last time out, she was 20-1 at Saratoga against Pure Silver. I mean, nobody was going to beat her that day. She wins by 9. So proportionality coming back to the turf here in the Salima, I think, is going to be just right up her alley.
Speaking of the 86 Mets, Ty, how about the Kelly Rubley 2-year-old filly by Colonel John? She had a nice win against maiden special weight on the turf last out at Delaware. Kelly Rubley stabled at Fair Hill. She had a nice win here last weekend. Always does well with her turf runners.
That was an easy win. They got a soft pace and really went on. But if she can get this horse to improve, going to definitely be a horse to look at. I like Wise Gal, Dove Houghton on the outside. Good debut win here at Laurel. Got the 67 number here. Steve Hamilton was aboard. So I do like Wise Gal. It's just there's so many horses that can improve drastically in this 2-year-old level.
I like Wise Gal a lot. How about Dove Houghton? The barn's really having a good summer. They at the summer meet they were live, and then they got off to a good start for the fall meet. They won the early daily double on Sunday. And Wise Gal by Einstein, that big horse for Helen Pitts, won on the dirt, synthetic, and maybe best of all on the turf. Out of a Not for Love mare, Spirited Game, she was pretty good. Yeah, Wise Gal, I think a very live local horse here for Dove Houghton.
And longtime Maryland breeders, Eric Worth in there, keeping the faith, and it looks like they've got a good turf filly on their hands.
All right, so the Futurity and the Salima, 2 historic races. They're part of 7 stake races this Saturday for Fall Festival Racing. Let's talk about the All Along Stakes, which is a listed stake for $150,000 going a mile and a 16th on the turf. 4 filly and mares. We have Gianna's Dream in there right now, Juno, Light Up by Our World, Martini Glass, Northern Smile, On Leave, Page, and Price to Perfection. Also, Kelly Rubley supplemented a horse in there. Indian Paint also entered in the All Along. Let's take a look here at the Stuart S. Janney filly, On Leave, 4-year-old filly here for the Hall of Famer, Shug McGahee. Here's her win here in the All Along. It wasn't a win here. I got to get to my page here. Somebody take over. I'm stuck. Here we go. On lead back in May in the Grade 3 Gallarat at Pimlico. A good second to Cambodia in that race. Came back and won the Perfect Sting at Belmont after finishing a good second here in the Gallarat.
This is the Gallarat. You see that horse in front of her, Cambodia?
Yep.
You follow Del Mar Racing, California Racing. She's been a terror out there, right? Many times. So that's that horse on the level out there in California. So you'd have to think that On Leave would be the favorite, if not one of the favorites, coming up here this weekend.
Yeah, you got Stan. You mentioned a Light Up Our World. Arnold Delacour trains. This is a really good Irish-bred filly. Good second last time in a Grade 3 up at Monmouth, but has been running well up in England and over in Britain, over in Newmarket. I think that horse is going to be tough to watch, or tough in this race, and then so is Gianna's Dream. Michael Maker owns this filly. Good third. Last out in the Violet, the same race that the horse we were just talking about, Light Up Our World, came out of. So this race is going to come up tough too.
Martini Glass is the winner on the turf, and she was second to Songbird in the on the dirt, and the Del Cap up there beat Line of Best Fit, horse we talked about earlier. A good sprinter, but she has turf ability, so maybe she's coming around right now. She was beaten favorite right after that runner-up finish on the dirt at Delaware, but again, a turf winner down in Florida, or a filly who's apt to improve here at the age of 4.
Last time this Martini Glass was on the turf, won by 8 lengths. It was a starter allowance, so much cheaper. But
a little cheaper race, right?
When you win by 8 lengths on the turf, I mean that's like 16 on the dirt. So that's a good win by Martini Glass. She can certainly do the turf.
All right, now talking about the all-along stakes going long on the turf for filly mares. Grand Motion has a lightly raced 4-year-old filly in there by Temple City, priced to perfection. She was third here on the Laurel grass last fall when she was 3 in the Grade 3 Commonwealth Oaks, and the comeback assignment at Saratoga in July. That was pretty tough, and then a Grade 3 company at Monmouth. This will be the third race back off the layoff, a little easier spot than that Grade 3. I think priced to perfection gets in good form in the all-along Saturday.
That's a competitive race. Beyond the on leave, I think it's wide open.
All right, let's take a look here at the Laurel Turf Cup, going a mile and a half here on our big world-class turf course for 3-year-olds and upward. That's a $100,000 stake. And let's talk about Talk Show Man, the local favorite here for trainer Hammy Smith. This was Talk Show Man's win here at Laurel Park. It was a long time in between wins. He won the 2015 Henry S. Clark here in Maryland. Then this was his win. This was his win here against Allowance Company late July here, going a mile on the turf. So after this, an okay 5th in the fine stakes, but Talk Show Man, a 4-time winner here on the Laurel grass. I think in the Laurel Turf Cup going a mile and a half, he'll love that distance.
A 4-time winner here at Laurel Park, and didn't have a lot of pace to run to last time out in the soft going in the fine behind Just Howard, and he likes Laurel. There's no doubt about it.
Marengo Road could be an interesting horse in here if trainer Mike Trombetta decides to run. This horse won a nice win on the dirt last out up there at Penn, but was a nice second on the turf right behind Talk Show Man, the race we just showed you.
He's a horse I really thought was going to be a super nice 3-year-old. He's had some ups and downs. Maybe this distance is just going to be the perfect spot for him.
Revved up's got Shug McGahee nominated in here. I'm not sure if the horse is going, but the horse has been competing at the second level allowance race up there, New York, Saratoga, Belmont. So this horse could be tough. Mook Desir, Kieran McLachlan's also nice win, second level allowance last time up at Saratoga. So depending on some of the entries in here, Chad Brown's got a horse that's nominated, Arnold Delacour, another one. It's just going to be a loaded Saturday, Stan. I can't wait. There's going to be full fields and tough races.
Mile and a half.
Well, the horse that won this race last year, Renown, is nominated for trainer Elizabeth Voss. I'd like to see the 6-year-old back in there. He has one win this year, but a nice win going a mile and a half last year for Renown here in this race.
Yeah, and that last race was at Saratoga, and he's kind of a little bit of a closer, and he could not do that in the John's Call on that Saratoga turf course at a mile and 5/8. He's apt to bounce back.
All right, so it'll be a nice mile and a half contest for the Laurel Turf Cup here Saturday. Let's talk about the sprinters next. The Laurel Dash Stakes going 6 furlongs on the turf for 3-year-olds and upward. Here's who's in there right now. Amelia's Wild Ride is in there. Blue Moon Ace, Class and Cash, Dream Mover, Joseph, big field here in the Laurel Dash. Rapid Dance, Snow Day, Spring to the Sky, and Triple Burner let's show you, who do we have here for the Laurel Dash? I believe, Triple Burner. Let's show you Triple Burner for trainer Linda Albert. This was a nice win here at Laurel Park last fall against a tough 3 other than Allowance Company, going 5.5 furlongs, led every step of the way with a bunch of pressure from some nice runners. So this is a nice horse here. Hasn't won since this race. This will only be his 3rd start this year for trainer Linda Albert.
Remember this horse a while back used to be a deep closer, and he kick in the afterburners for Triple Burner, and all of a sudden just kind of has recently changed the style last year, went wire to wire in the victory here you're looking at. So very versatile, that's for sure, is Triple Burner. The question is, he's kind of a lightly raced this year, but no match against Richard's Boy. I mean, he was 100-1 in the turf sprint at Pimlico. This is going to be a much easier spot for him this weekend. Yeah,
Blue Moon Ace, an interesting horse in here, Ty. This horse, a nice win first off the claim last out in the Coalition Stakes at Timonium. He's 0 for 4 on the turf, but he's in a new barn now trained by Kevin Patterson, owned by Robert Cole Jr. He's in sharp form since that claim. Now going to get back on the turf here. 4-year-old by Malibu Moon, Blue Moon Ace, an interesting horse in the Laurel Dash.
Yeah, Kevin Patterson is about 40%, I think. He
right.
is a heck of a trainer, good claim, won the Coalition with ease. I don't know if he's that great as good of a turf trainer as he is a dirt trainer. He's mostly stabled up where you get the turf with the dirt. So I'll be looking to see. I'll probably pass on this horse. There's going to be some money on the horse with the barn, but the switch is going to be tough.
Well, I was looking back at his last turf race. He was beaten a length and change by Flash Phelps, English minister, talk show man. So it's not like, he's kept a little bit decent company hidden in the lines there on the turf, that's for sure. And he's certainly a better horse, at least as his best race. It was his last race at Timonium, where he set sizzling fractions and drew off. I wouldn't put it past him to hit the winner's circle.
Yeah. Class and Cash, James Sabelli's got a really nice good gelding in here. It's going to be probably the pace, the speed in here. Going to go to the front and kind of see how far he can take everybody in here. But Class and Cash for James Sabelli's going to be tough in here too.
Yeah, James Sabelli always dangerous. I hit the early pick 5 Sunday with the Sabelli winner in race 5 last Sunday. I forget the name, but Sabelli always dangerous here on the turf at Laurel Park. So it'll be a nice Laurel Dash going 6 furlongs on the turf there. Big field expected in the Laurel Dash. Let's talk next here about the Sensible Lady Turf Dash. Filly and Mares 3 and up going 6 furlongs on the turf. Let's talk about Everything Lovely from the Kathleen DeMassey barn. This was a nice win here for this filly. This was May 20th here in the very one at Pimlico, going 5 furlongs on a good turf course. She led every step of the way. She's made almost $350,000. Well managed by Kate DeMassey. She didn't run very well last out in the stake race up at Saratoga, but she's going to get maybe a little easier spot here today. Everything Lovely, impressive winner here last May at Pimlico.
She just faced so much tougher last time at Saratoga, and there was a little give in the ground. So you just draw a line through that, brings it back down here to Maryland, the circuit that she likes a little bit more. Good win, that very one that we just saw right there, and a good third in the Jamelia 3-back. Daylight Ahead, who won that race, is nominated. I'm not sure is going to enter, but I do like the chances.
I would think that perhaps Elusive Joni from the Gary Capuano barn would be a go in this race. I mean, she was only beaten a length in the very one Mine Everything Lovely there, and she's a filly who has a lot of talent sprinting on the turf. We've seen her run before, and just did not like that very, very soft ground. We had the yielding ground here, beaten by Rapid Dan, who was kind of a mild upsetter there back in that allowance race.
Exaggerated for trainer Arnaud Delacour's a 3-time winner on the Laurel Grass. She's been running against some heavyweights at Keeneland last out. Didn't run very well last time here at Pimlico, but that was last year. She's only raced 1 time this year for Arnaud Delacour. Some nice works up there at Fair Hill. Exaggerated. If she runs, she loves the grass here.
Well, I mean, Everything Lovely I thought had a great trip in the video we showed you there. Has not been able to fire since then, so I'm looking for somebody here at a little bit of a price, to be honest with you.
Ginger and Rye, another Sagamore horse, is nominated. Ever since they cut this horse back to going around 1 turn, is 2 for 2 of the last 2 races. So a horse that's going to be definitely dangerous if entered. Horatio DePaz, we've talked about 5 times on the show already. Got some runners in that Sagamore barn.
Yeah, he sure does. And Ginger and Rye, a 3-time winner here on the Laurel Grass. So be a big field expected in the Sensible Lady Turf Dash. I'm looking for another stake. I think that's all 7 stakes that we've talked about previewing the big fall festival of racing this Saturday here at Laurel Park. That's it. Let's get a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about 3. No commercial break. Okay, guys, let's go right into the national preview here. Let's talk about the Rico Woodbine Mile to win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Mile. That's this weekend here at Woodbine. World Approval. We know this horse well. Let's take a look here at World Approval's last race. World Approval, of course, the winner of this year's Grade 2 Dixie at Pimlico.
Yeah, and also won the 4-star Dave, which we're seeing right here. And there was a deluge at Saratoga right before this race. The horse was on near the lead and then just really took to the ground, which was a yielding surface. Won by 2 lengths. There were some good horses in that race. Maybe the ground helped him out a little bit. But you see, you go back to that Dixie where he also won by 2 lengths. Mark Cassie trains this gray horse. Gonna be really tough in here. Likes that mile distance here in the Woodbine. It's the mile.
1.4 million in earnings, 20 starts on the turf and 9 wins. You got to respect World Approval. as a superior class runner.
DeVille, named after the Saratoga of the France. If you ever get over to France, go to DeVille in August, Ty. Let's talk about DeVille, an expected runner here in the Woodbine Mile.
DeVille finished third in the Arlington Million, which we're seeing this right here on the screen, and this was this year. Finished third also last year in the Arlington Million in almost the exact same fashion on the rail, had the lead at the top of the stretch. But really, when you get $1 million race, you got all these runners coming, and that's what happened. Was just tagged late by a Chad Brown Beach Patrol horse right here. If this form can hold, cutting back a little bit from 1.25 miles to a mile, so the speed is going to be dangerous. I like DeVille, probably going on the front end, but Aidan O'Brien is a trainer.
Yeah, 4-year-old by Galileo who's made over $1 million, 300,000 this year. Aidan O'Brien, he's always dangerous in these turf stakes over here.
Another millionaire on the turf there, and I love horses who do that, Ty, when they close down on the inside like that, and just nothing really phases them, nothing bothers them. Obviously, he's a Class C turf horse, so he can do that. But one of these days, I love them when they get that clear sweeping trip on the outside. Some of the speed falters right in front of them at the 8th pole. Like them even better now that I've seen that video.
It's a good video, and the Woodbine's got a long stretch also to their turf course. So those late kind of closers, it might help a little bit more.
All right, let's talk about the Northern Dancer Turf this weekend. Let's show you Dragon Bay from the Stuart Simon barn here. Here's the last race here for Dragon Bay.
Yeah, and Dragon Bay's cross-entered in the Woodbine Mile. I'm assuming the connections will probably take him here to the Northern Dancer. I think this is a softer race. We're looking at the entries. I think it could be a wide-open race. Dragon Bay, good win here. This was the Nijinsky at Woodbine, so definitely likes the course. Has won there multiple times, won there 4 times on the turf course. So that's Dragon Bay. Stuart Simon trains.
Horse for course, that's for sure.
How about Fanciful Angel? She was second at a big 73-1 with first-time Lasix last out in the Arlington Million for trainer Chad Brown. Chad Brown with another nice turf runner here with the Ireland-bred Fanciful Angel.
Can you remember the last time you saw anything 73-1 on Chad Brown?
Oh.
Not going to get 73-1 here, anywhere close to that. You see the gray here on your screen running down. This is the Arlington Million again that we saw already once today, but the horse was coming late, 73-1, wide open field. Just finished second against Beach Patrol in this race. Going to be tough in the Northern Dancer, which is 1.5 miles.
Broken a tangle in that race and had a broken straight line and in a clean break. Who knows? It could have been a massive upset there over Beach Patrol. Good effort.
All right, let's talk about the Iroquois. It's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Division, and Go Sapper has a good-looking 2-year-old here. Dak Attack for trainer Dale Romans, 2 for 2 so far out of an Indian Charlie mare. Here's Dak Attack's race last out at Ellis Park.
This is at Ellis Park. Dale Romans will do this a lot. He's quoted as saying he wants to keep some of his best 2-year-olds even away from Saratoga, keep the competition a little easier, so they put the horse at Ellis Park here. In his stakes, Ellis Park Juvenile won with ease, really 3 lengths, well-timed, in hand. The horse now is projecting up, going to Churchill. You're going to see Sporting Chance in this race, who Dak Attack beat in his debut.
And that's going to be an interesting video of that horse, right? Yeah. Very interesting stretch run to show you a Sporting Chance here in a moment.
All right, well, let's talk about Sporting Chance. For the coach, the Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lucas with another nice 2-year-old. This one by Tiz Now out of a Candy Ride mare. His horse won his last 2, including the Grade 1 Hopeful last out up there at Saratoga.
Yeah. And there he is on the lead in the blue cap. Watch him, Ty. Watch him, Stan. And if you'd bet on him here, what is he, 5-1? You got 100 to win. What do you think right now?
You think
you're
he's
liking
home
your
right
chances,
here,
right? Yeah, you like that, don't you? You're right. You're headed right to the windows.
Right to the window, and then he
ducked out to make it very, very close.
Takes a Spicer Cup turn almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, lucky nobody was directly behind him. But he just ducked out a little bit there, just a little bit green as a 2-year-old, but now he's won his last 2. Didn't duck out the race prior in the maiden win at Saratoga, so I don't know, maybe he just saw something, a shadow, whatever. anyway, let's hope he keeps a straight course there, Sporting Chance.
All right, good stuff for D. Wayne Lucas. That's it. That's all the races to show you for this upcoming weekend. Let's show you the promotions that are going on here for Fall Festival of Racing. 7 stakes, 6 on the turf, 1 on the dirt. That's the feature, the Grade 3 to Francis Dash presented by Express Bet. You get a free prize wheel spin with the purchase of a program. You can win wagers, event tickets, Laurel Park, swag bags, and much more. So Fall Festival of Racing this Saturday. It's going to be one of the biggest days. I think we're the big game in the country this Saturday, right, Dave?
I think we are. And, the handle's going to be very, very strong. And come get that free prize wheel spin. All you got to do is get your racing program and lots of wagers on there. So you might win yourself a free voucher to get you started in the Pick 5 or any of the Pick 4s.
All right, Friday's big 11-race card will kick off the 3-day race weekend. Handle was up opening weekend last weekend, expecting another big weekend here this weekend. This Saturday is the first of 6 Super Saturdays we have here at Laurel Park with a bunch of stake races. So this is our big season, the fall meet here at Laurel Park, and we're looking forward to Fall Festival Racing. Good luck. You guys ready for lunch?
Yeah.
I'm ready to hit some more Pick 5s this
You're
weekend.
buying, right?
I'm buying.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good luck. We hope to see you out here for Fall Festival of Racing.
We'll
Good
give
luck.
you a lunch report next week.